Why should they work with me? No, I'm not a native Santa Claritian, right? I'm not. But I am someone who will work my ass off.
Obviously, there's a motivation there with money,
Yeah.
but it's more than just money. The service and the impact that we make on the people that we help is the passion behind what we do.
Culturally, for me, born in Mexico, brought here to America at the age of 2. My parents immigrated to this country, worked very hard. So for us, self-employment was never part of the equation. I had the opportunity to meet with someone who did real estate at the age of 16, and I just saw the potential that it really had, the impact that it had on his life, and that really opened up the opportunity for me to really start to see something bigger. As time went on, I worked in corporate America. I climbed that ladder, but the dream, the passion that was real estate that I always wanted to pursue, it was always in the back of my mind. A couple years back, I decided to just take the leap and take a gamble on myself, really.
My thought is giving that other side to a client that now you've posted so many things about what you do. Hey, look, come try these. These are kind of some different programs. Rates are getting better.
Yeah.
Here's some opportunities. But now it's more of like
Getting to know the person,
getting
right?
to know you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I'm all with it.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what I was thinking to myself, right? Is how I've become a spokesperson for many things. And one of the things that I haven't been a spokesperson for is who I am as a person.
I know, like with some of the content stuff that I've been doing, you got to open up that framework in your brain to start releasing some of the things that you really want to let out there, and then just get comfortable with speaking.
Yeah.
Right. Some of the stuff I've done recently, and you've done a hell of a lot more stuff than I have, but some of the stuff that helped me is just as I start probing questions, stuff starts coming out. Because in any kind of profession that we do, where there's a motivation there with money.
Yeah.
But it's more than just money, because at the end of the day, I think we talked about this before, is as you do transactions and the more transactions you do, you know you're going to make money. That's the secondary product of what we do. The service and the impact that we make on the people that we help is what is the passion behind what we do.
100%.
Obviously, we're motivated because we want to make money. I mean, that's just how we live and drive our lives. But that other part of it is huge, though, right? Like I know for me, obviously, I'm very motivated in just to perform. Everything I do, I look at it like a sport, like a basketball game. Seasons are quarters. Days could be, you break down into quarters. How a game goes is like kind of sometimes how an escrow goes. You have and sometimes you got to push through. But I know in talking with people, and that's why when I spoke to you last time when you came by my office, I can tell with you, it was there was more to it. And you had that hunger that when I say the pushback, because I know that you had that hunger, people were telling you, you're like, I want to do this though.
Yeah.
Like, so Aaron, what inspired you to get into real estate? Like, what was one of those very first steps that you said, man, that I would love to do something like that?
That's a great question, right? So culturally, for me, from my background, born in Mexico, brought here to America at the age of 2. My parents immigrated to this country, worked very hard. So for us, self-employment was never part of the equation, right? I had the opportunity to meet with someone who did real estate at the age of 16. And I just saw the potential that it really had, the impact that it had on his life. And that really opened up the opportunity for me to really start to see something bigger. But again, culturally, it wasn't something that I knew to do. And so I went and I worked in corporate America with the intention of climbing that corporate ladder. As time went on, I climbed that ladder. But the dream, the passion that was real estate that I always wanted to pursue, it was always in the back of my mind. And, as I started to raise my kids, I wanted to teach them to really chase and pursue their dreams. So a couple years back, I decided to just take the leap and take a gamble on myself, really. Put everything that I had into real estate. And as I'm doing this, honestly, it's the best thing that I've ever done. It was the scariest thing that I've ever done, but truthfully, the most rewarding thing that I've done for myself and for my family. The fact that I'm able to, showcase or show my children that you can do anything if you really put forth the effort, really put your heart into it. That's the biggest reward for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. So And looking back, like, what was the defining moment when you said, okay, I'm going to start this now? Like, this is that window of time, because you had kids already.
Yeah.
So, and it's very, I know there's something that we used to use in other terms when I was before I became a mortgage banker, is you get into a job, you start making pretty good money because you were a pension consultant, correct?
Yes.
And I'm sure that you were over six figures when you left, right?
Correct.
Which is very good money with very good income.
For sure.
You get something called golden handcuffs, and you get scared to leave that safety because the fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that time, or what was the window that you basically said, now's the time?
Yeah, it's do or die, right? My son had an accident. He fell down, hit his head. He was hospitalized. It was the most traumatic moment for my wife and I. And
How old was he?
He was only 2 at the time. He's now 5. He's healthy as can be. He was hospitalized. It was very traumatic. But I had just started this new position, which, as you said, I felt like I was handcuffed because I was earning 6 figures. Salary, the benefits were great. But when I came back to an environment where it was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about your son. Get back to work. No emotional component. You're being written up because you fell behind on your work. And this is a true story, and it really opened up my eyes to say, you know what? I'm giving my all to a company that is not taking me or my family into consideration. Yes, you're paying me some salary, but the fact that these things transpired really ignited the flame for me. It was a do or die situation. I was either going to stay handcuffed or I was going to change my life completely. And the way that I did that was to dive into real estate.
And go 100%
That's
cold
right.
turkey. Wow. That's daring.
Yeah.
That is very daring. That's awesome, though. I had the same scenario because when I got in the industry, interest rates started finally coming back down, and everyone was kind of moving into wanting to get into mortgages. And so when I had said I was going to go into mortgages, everyone was giving me that pushback. Well, everyone's doing it. There's a mortgage guy in every corner. And I'm sure even more so now, because I'm 22 years seasoned in this profession now.
Mm-hmm.
So someone coming in, and you're kind of coming in from a different area.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Coming from out of area and coming into Santa Clarita, a lot of people say work with someone local. Why should someone work with a guy like you?
That's an excellent question, right? Because as someone who's not a native Santa Claritian, I wasn't born here, right? I don't know necessarily all the ins and outs. I came from the San Fernando Valley, right? I was raised in the San Fernando Valley. The San Fernando Valley was everything that I knew. And that's really where I was hoping to raise my family. But seeing the San Fernando evolve for what it is and driving out here on the weekends with my family, really to be able to take advantage of the beautiful parks, right? Because you want to be able to create memories for your children, taking them to the parks, seeing the neighborhoods, the scenery. It was just a different way of life. And that's what really drove my wife and I to relocate out here. It was a different way of life. And it wasn't something that I just wanted to hold on to on the weekend, right? It was something that I wanted permanent, something where my children can have access to better education, public education, right? I mean, you look at Santa Clarita's public education as a whole, I mean, it is drastically better. So who better to tell a story of why Santa Clarita is the perfect fit than someone who, we call them, what's the term, the word that they coin, a transplant, right? Someone who transplanted to their city, who recognizes the value, who wants to preserve that value, wants to make sure that we share that value with people who are considering Santa Clarita.
That's awesome. And I know, in me being a Santa Clarita person for a long time, there is a new movement of new people that are coming into the area and don't really know our area. So who better to tell someone that is now come from a different area to share their experiences. I think it's great. One of the things I always like when I'm talking to clients, I always tell them, like, as much as the San Fernando Valley is more expensive than Santa Cruz because we're still a great value, we can let our kids outside and walk on the street and just walk on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you live on Plummer or you live on Nordhoff,
Yeah.
you're not doing that. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And I just think of myself as a consumer. More than anything else, if I'm a consumer, what are some of the things I'm concerned with someone I'm working with? And then I thought to myself, how great would it be to not even just an agent, maybe an insurance agent, but what are the, especially with what just happened yesterday, what are some of the things internally that drive them? What are some of the things internally that they're going to share with the people they work with? Because at the end of the day, we all have an intention to earn business, but how can we make an impact in their life? Not just for now, because if you look at a term of like client for life and you talk to a guy like me who's been in the business for 20 years, and I always talk about my clients because I truly appreciate how many great clients I have that we work together year over year. And I used to say this old spiel was like, if I wasn't in this business, if I'm just Aaron coming from the San Fernando Valley looking to buy in Santa Cruz and an agent refers me to Steve Tampus, I would want to be that guy that the buyer says, man, I'm so glad I met that dude. Not just for the short term, but for the long term, because the average person usually sells or buys every 5 to 7 years. And you look at your lifetime and your span on how long you're going to be in business, and then you can kind of measure and then you work with their families. But in our field, we can do this for so long,
I think oftentimes we're so guilty of just creating fear, right? Or we're trying to educate our buyers, our sellers, and we're telling them, because we know, right? We're always trying to inform ourselves of economic news, things that are affecting that are affecting all things real estate, right? That sometimes if we see rates improve, we want to quickly tell people, but most of the time they don't really know what to make of the information.
Or the benefit for them.
Or the benefit,
Yeah.
right? We look at what's happening right now. Interest rates are improving, right? Are they the best?
No.
But
Best they've been in the last 11 months.
Exactly, right? And so we want to convey that to our audience, right? We want to get it out as quickly as we can. But sometimes I feel like as professionals, sometimes the buyer and the seller don't really know the true potential of that. And what I mean by that is a buyer, right? Possibly 10 months ago, 11 months ago, they tried to get pre-qualified. Interest rates were higher. Now they're lower. Now they're able to get to that dream home that they were thinking of, right? That's the real life change. Let's talk about the seller. The sellers, they're probably like, well, what does this mean to me, right? Lower rates, more activity. They're probably look, everybody's talking, right? They're talking, homes are probably sitting longer, more competition, right? But I think that it's important for us as their professionals to really inform them of these changes.
And I kind of just touch on that. So in the last 2 weeks, ever since interest rates have been improving, we've seen a huge uptick in applications that we've taken in, like literally anywhere between 5 to 7 buyers a day. Now, what happens is what people start coming off the fence. So put in terms of a buyer, maybe 10 months ago when interest rates were a little higher, it was a little more difficult to qualify. Income might be a little better now. Prices might have softened a little bit, right? So maybe there's some credits there that can help buy down rate even more. I still believe no matter where interest rates are at, because like what you had said earlier, the market is going to be the market, and it's very difficult to time a market. I always, especially with interest rates, they are cyclical. You want to get into a good interest rate environment, but you don't want to be late to the table. And I think that's what everyone was fearing, and that's why we had so much activity. Not as much activity this week, but a lot of activity last week. We put a lot of offers out last weekend, which is a good sign. And for sellers, you have more activity now. You got more aggressive buyers that are truly being aggressive to buy. However, they are also being aggressive to buy, looking for those deals still. Now, what I've seen is your good, nice homes that are priced really nice, that are shown really well, that you can tell there is the owners took care of that home, they updated the home. You're still getting top dollar. You're still getting even over asking price. But it's the homes that have been sitting some time on the market maybe the agent wasn't so versed and they might have priced it a little too high at the market time. And now that's sat for a little bit. So agents are coming in or buyers are coming in, seeing that it's been on market for some time and being a little more aggressive. The one good sign though I'm seeing is that a lot of the homes that are, let's just say under 550,000, there's not a lot of single family homes, but let's say the townhome condos, they're starting to go in escrow, which is the first sign, because that first home has to sell for them to buy the secondary home. And that's a big key, because when I start seeing that, that means people are making transitions. And with all the applications that we took in last week, it's a good sign that more people are getting back out to at least put themselves in position. Look, it's very hard to time when the best interest rate market's going to be, because could we see with momentum swings, could we see a nice improvement in our market? I talk to my clients all the time. If you're looking to refinance, be careful, because there's a lot of telemarketers that are calling, but their job is to strictly sell you on the idea why it's so beneficial to refinance now and pay points. It's not, and they're going to scare you into paying points. If you wanted to refinance now, I do believe that in the next 12 to 24 months, like last cycle, there's opportunities, multiple opportunities to refinance and keep lowering interest rate. If you can better your interest rate by about 0.5% and have a very low cost or no cost option, I would all day go for that. It's much better, because you're going to save yourself some window for the opportunity if it's even a year from now. But if you bought a house, in the last 24 months, I'm sure rates are a little higher, and I'm sure there's an opportunity there for you to save some money.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions with that, right? Refinancing, where most folks are thinking, well, why should I, right? Why should I add more debt? And I think you covered some very key points. If you could do it with little to maybe no cost at all, it could
we as a strategy right now, we're always going off of no cost, because I do believe in the next 12 to 24 months, you will have a few cycles that you might have that opportunity to do it a couple of times.
100%.
And so I try to, everyone that we're working with, and we've been putting out a lot of opportunities or refinance strategies, we're going and we're looking at no cost, no fee loans. In our space of lending, I mean, there's a lot of good lenders out there. And obviously, there's the big banks, there's the credit unions, and sometimes they'll have a specialty product, which we sometimes cannot compete with. However, you got to fit that little box. But in the retrospect of how long we've been in business, how long I've been in business, ownership here, we have some really good loan officers here. We've almost seen every file. I'd love to say when prices were like 400,000 or 500,000, you had a lot of cookie cut, meaning W-2 income, easy deals. But they're not like that no more. When you and just kind of think of it this way: if your average price home is $825,000, that means a minimum down payment mortgage payment is going to run you about $6,200. So if you look at a qualification backwards, $6,200 means you have to make about $180,000 W-2 income per year minimum. That's your start home in Santa Cruz now. So now you go to that second home at $1 million, that raises up. So you got to be somewhere around 240. So now you go to $1.25 million. That's why you start, all these incomes start becoming creatively made with multiple different sources. And when you have that, you don't have a lot of wage earners that are coming in making 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. There's a lot of people that make really good money, but in some cases, a lot of them are business owners. They're traders. They're real estate people. I mean, you have a lot of different kinds of incomes that we'll see. So one of the things that we have, being a banker and a broker, we have your traditional product that's super competitive. We got our jumbo product up to $5 to $10 million, but we have all the stuff in between. We got the products that if you can't document all your income, maybe you're a business owner, you have a lot of money coming through, but you're zeroing that out every month. So we can use a bank statement program. We have a lot of different programs that fit. Another product that is very used in our profession right now, especially when buyers are trying to buy that home that they really need, are bridge loans. And having access to bridge loans quickly it gives them the flexibility, or a buyer the flexibility of not having to be a contingent offer. Because how many times does a buyer go out and say, I'm not ready, I'm just looking, but they find that one dream home that they really like, and they want to make the move, but they're not in real position yet. we have something where we can do an equity-based loan, help them with the down payment, and transition them into that dream home without having to go contingent, so that their offer looks much better and much more presentable. So that's a strong product for agents to utilize, and we have many agents that utilize that product.
No, 100%. Not only is it going to strengthen them as buyers, but also strengthen the sale as well, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
that's
One of the biggest things, if you're a buyer and you said, how can I maximize my opportunity to get a great deal,
mhm,
right? Like, that's what I would tell you, is that to maximize that opportunity is to have good credit scores,
mhm,
have assets in the bank, decent down payment, very reputable lender,
mhm,
short window on contingency.
mhm.
That will get you, if there's a line for that home, that will put you at the top 3 of that line.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
If there's no line, you're gonna be able to get a great deal on that home.
And I always say who you work with matters, right? Having a reputable name such as Augusta Financial, Steve Tompis as a lender, that says a lot, right?
It's a great thing, because we do see that, and we're so blessed because we have so many agents that we work with, and we have really good loan officers here. We got some of the best loan officers here in the city. So we've been really, and everyone performs. It's very rare that there's a deal. We actually get the deals that other people can't do. So that's one of our things that we work on daily.
And that's the beauty,
Yeah.
right? It's the fact that you're able to create, that you're versatile, that you're able to create options for everyone, because there's really no one size fits all for everybody, right? Being able to assess everyone on a case by case basis and offering them tailored solutions. I think that is the key, and that's amazing.
Yeah.